guys! Are you ready to talk about Aladdin? Great, because there's some really interesting areas to explore in this franchise. But first, I want to know, what's your favorite Aladdin song? You have McGann, the Fangirl. Make sure you subscribe and check back every week for new fandom videos. So I have to give a huge shout out to Disney Movie Club for actually putting the Aladdin sequels on DVD, digital, and Blu-ray. This is a club exclusive release. And hey, if you haven't joined Disney Movie Club yet, I do have my referral link in the description below. And no worries, if you can't afford to join or you're too young to join, that's totally fine, no pressure. But if you're buying these movies anyways, might as well get some perks and bonuses out of it. Anyways, I was born in the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s, so the 90s is really my cultural zeitgeist. And I dare say that there is no 90s kid who didn't become obsessed with 1992's Aladdin. I mean, people look back and think The Little Mermaid was big, but Aladdin had great music, heavy action, and a giant romance story arc, plus a lot of cultural elements that everyone fell in love with. I remember my aunt had just gotten married and her husband was from Turkey, like fresh off the plane from Turkey, and even this 20-something-year-old grown man was over the moon for Aladdin. It just spoke to the whole world. And really that's no surprise because the first ever animated movie was The Adventures of Prince Ahmed by Lottie Reiniger in 1926. So this appeal of Middle Eastern stories has always been huge all over the planet. But if you watch any of the Aladdin movies, you'll notice that they have this interesting framing device with the Peddler. Actually, I don't even think you can call the Peddler a framing device because he doesn't return at the end of the movie. He just sets us up and walks away, which is actually very interesting since the franchise would go on to create an entire series and 2 straight-to-video feature-length movies that were like bookends for the series. And while I don't recall the Peddler in the show, he is in all 3 movies. But truly, this terrible salesman isn't needed for the story at all. His only purpose seems to be to come sing a song and tell us the story of Aladdin. Yet the Peddler is very clearly voiced by Robin Williams, even though he's uncredited for that part. Now, someone somewhere associated with Disney already confirmed that Genie is that merchant, so don't worry, I'm not rehashing that idea, but I do want to go over why Genie would take that form, and the sequels are actually very instrumental to explaining that. To quickly recap for those who have never seen the Aladdin trilogy, the first movie is a Cinderella story where this poor guy wins the heart of a princess and they become engaged. Most of us back in 1992 thought that that ending sequence on the carpet was actually the couple after they got married, but we were all mistaken. Aladdin proved to be so popular that in 1994, Disney released its first ever direct-to-video animated sequel, The Return of Jafar, where Jafar, as a powerful genie, returns to wreak havoc after a bumbling villain named Abysmal, get it, Abysmal, finds the lamp in a well. Spoiler alert, but Jafar ends up permanently defeated. He never comes back in the series or the other movie. Iago ends up with Aladdin's crew, and Abysmal would return many times as a recurring villain in the Aladdin series that ran from 1994 to 1995. The series was also a huge success and featured many new characters and a lot more Middle Eastern folklore. There were so many mysteries to unlock in that series. Then, in 1996, Disney said farewell to the Aladdin franchise by releasing another movie. This was Aladdin and the King of Thieves, where Aladdin goes to find his father, Cassim, who turns out to be, you guessed it, the King of the 40 Thieves. I don't know what happened to Alibaba, but I feel like Cassim did something awful to him. And while this movie is so much fun, it still leaves a lot of questions to be answered, like what happened to Aladdin's mother? But in all 3 movies, we have the merchant appearing to give us different versions of Arabian Nights. Now, even though Robin Williams was the voice of the Peddler in the first movie, that's not the case for the other 2 films. There had been a contract dispute where Disney had put Williams' voice into merchandise without permission or payment, and Williams wouldn't return to voice Genie until everything had been resolved with Disney. I know that can sound greedy and petty to us fans, but keep in mind that Robin Williams voiced the Genie in the first Aladdin movie for only $75 $75,000. His normal going rate at that time was $8 million. Williams wanted to do Aladdin, so he did it on the way cheap. So I really fault a mishap at Disney for the trouble here, because when you're an actor working at an extremely discounted rate, having your voice used further in merchandising without any financial consideration is a big deal. I mean, we're not talking like he took $7 million when he usually got $8 million. We're talking $8 million to $75,000. That's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of his normal pay rate. But they sorted it all out eventually, so yay for us! Anyways, because Williams wasn't the genie in the second movie, that does leave some room for interpretation. And to be fair, Robin Williams never once sang for the merchant. Bruce Adler was the original voice behind Arabian Nights. So those discrepancies could count for some of the issues we have here. But the fact is still ultimately the same, that the voice of the Peddler is very different between the three movies. And of course, I think there's a deeper explanation to this. Point blank, I don't think the merchant we see in the two sequels is the same merchant we see in the first movie. I think the sequels are showing us a real vendor who likes to sing, and that is supported in the King of Thieves because Genie is standing in the wedding party while the Peddler is over in the marketplace. They are definitely two separate characters in this film, and I think that's because there are two nearly identical peddlers. Yes, I can still account for this. The franchise of Aladdin doesn't cover this very often, but Return of Jafar made it a huge plot point that Genie has lost a lot of his powers since being freed. And actually, there's lots of Genie mythology to back this up. When a genie or jinn gets set free, it's very commonplace for it to lose its powers. Genies are essentially designed to be slaves, so the only way to really set them free is to take away their magic. Now, that's definitely not what happens in Aladdin per se, but if Genie is canonically weaker in the magic department by the second film, it's not a far leap to assume that that's because Genie is using up his magical reserve. So instead of his phenomenal cosmic powers being unlimited, he's now been cut off from that well and can't draw from that magical source anymore. So what Genie has within him is all that's left for him. We also see throughout the Aladdin series that Genie continues to live in his lamp, which is really weird since that was his prison for thousands of years, but whatever. So if the lamp is still his home, why would the Peddler have it and be trying to sell it? Well, because the Peddler in the first film is Genie. He's just finally turned human, and maybe he chose that look to blend in. Maybe he wanted to honor a real salesman who always listened to his stories. Or maybe Genie morphs into him as a joke, and then that's exactly when his powers ran out and he can't change back. The magical well just ran dry in that instance, and presto! Now you're this guy for the rest of your life. However it went down, if the Peddler from the original film is the Genie, it makes sense that he'd be wandering around telling his story, trying to keep the magic alive, as it were. Remember, the merchant only brings up the lamp to keep us, the viewers, near him, and he says it's a tale that once changed a young man's life, meaning the events of the Aladdin movie happened well in the past and they're probably not living with us any longer. The merchant's also definitely not living in the lamp because he has it filled with glitter so that he can make his stories more enticing. So yeah, everything I can gather tells me that Genie is not a djinn anymore. He's just a regular guy now who doesn't feel special and desperately needs attention to feed off of. So he spends his life reminiscing about the good old days with Aladdin because there's nothing else left for Genie now. It's kind of sad and kind of an interesting case study on aging or getting everything that you thought you wanted, but I think that's the reality of the Peddler in the first Aladdin film. And the other two merchants in the other two Aladdin films are just a real guy that existed that Genie took a liking to. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Back by popular demand, my special derps guest star. Say hi.
Hi.
Oh, give me a kiss. Mwah. Can I have a mwah?
Mama.
Ah, Archer's here to derp with me.
What happened?
I don't know. What happened? You want to sing with me? You just want to look cute while I sing? Oh, I come from a land, from a faraway place, where the caravan camels roam.
Oh, yeah.
where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. When the wind's from the east and the sun's from the west and the sand in the glass is right, come on down, stop on by, hop a carpet and fly to another Arabian night. Arabian nights, like Arabian days. They tease and excite, take off and take flight in a lot of good ways. Arabian nights, like Arabian moons. A fool off his guard could fall and fall hard out there on the dunes. Yeah, you only like one Disney song. If you want to cross a bridge, my sweet, you've got to pay the toll. Take a gulp and take a breath and go ahead and sign the scroll. Flotsam jetsam, now I've got her, boys. The boss is on a roll. These poor, unfortunate souls.
It will smell.
What do you mean, what smells? Do you smell or do I smell?
Smell.
What smells? There's nothing. It's wall. There's nothing over here.
What's that? A green?
It's blue.
Blue?
Yeah, blue and blue.
A blue. Blue, blue, blue.
Blue, blue, blue.
A Freddy.
Oh, yeah, there's Freddy on the wall.
A
And
bunny.
there's Freddy on your shirt.
Don't
Yeah.
quack, quack.
Oh, you want to do the clap? Okay, ready? And cut. Push it down. Let's do it harder, okay? There we go. There's a good clack.
Quack, quack.
Clap, clap. And the butterfly goes flap, flap. And the whale goes slap, slap. Can I have it back now? Thank you.
Are you?
Who are you?
And the
Nice to meet you. I'm Mommy. Who are you? Say, I'm Archer.
Oh.
Say, I'm Archer.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me on the screen, too.
Uh-oh. What the bee?
I don't know.
I put my mom.
That's your mom on the screen, too. Oh my gosh, witchcraft.
What crack?
Can you say bye?
Bye.
Blow a kiss.
Um,
Oh, he did it. He never did that before.
Beacon.
Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything I've done. You will probably find a lot of things you like that you never even knew that I posted. I want to let you know that I also have two other channels, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end, and then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into it. Okay, well, I love you. I'll see you in the next video.